Hi there. Well, my wife and I have been Amway business owners for over 30 years, and we thought we'd blog occasionally about some of the experiences we've had with Amway over that time, because sometimes we hear negative things said about the company and our business, much of which is completely erroneous, some downright scurrilous. And this saddens us because Amway is so very close to our hearts. Now, the decision to do this blog and podcast was triggered when a customer came to our house to pick up some products, and I started to talk to him about the exciting developments in e-commerce and major worldwide trends of which Amway business owners are uniquely positioned to take advantage, and he replied, no thank you, I know all about the Amway business. And I was reminded of something Albert Einstein had said: anybody can know. The point is to understand. Now, Amway Global have been pioneers of the concept of compassionate capitalism for over 60 years. Therefore, through this blog, we can hopefully share some of our personal experiences, correct some misconceptions, and maybe offer some insights into the Amway business opportunity and its profundities that are not immediately apparent at first sight. There's more to an Amway business than meets the eye. It's been quite a journey, and my wife and I have enjoyed taking the road less travelled. Hi there. Well, we're going to call today's episode Amway A Pyramid? Give me a break. Now, we like to start off, as you know, with a quotation by DeVos. This is from one of the meetings that we went to many years ago. And he said this. He said, nobody can demand respect. They can only earn respect. And they can only earn respect when they show respect. I think that's fantastic, and I think respect is something we don't see enough of today. Perhaps respect and what we call in the business edification is one of the factors underlying Amway's success anyway. Anyway, one of the strangest and most ill-informed allegations against Amway is that it is or is like a pyramid, which is to us one of the silliest observations and the easiest to discredit, as ironically the Amway sales and marketing plan was deliberately devised not to be hierarchical or pyramidal in any way, over 60 years ago. Indeed, it's one of the very few, if there are any at all, organizational structures that is not pyramidal, when all other social structures, corporate, political, religious, military, or social, inevitably are. In fact, it was specifically designed from the very beginning to drive a cart and horses through the conventional concept that a business had to be hierarchical, with one person, say a manager, above another, inevitably earning more than the employees below him. In our opinion, after 35 years in the business, the Amway sales and marketing plan, as originally devised by DeVos and VanAndel, has proven to be one of the purest and most wholesome forms of business activity there can possibly be. Totally non-exploitative and a win-win situation for all, including the planet. And this is witnessed by the fact that we are very happy for our sons, though both well qualified and professionals in their own right, to be involved as well. They're building the Amway businesses as well. They both have family responsibilities, and they're well aware that despite their successful careers, nothing is guaranteed, especially their health. And they know that their long-term financial security inevitably lies with their Amway businesses. Now, Amway was revolutionary 60 years ago, and for many people in many respects it still is. It has always welcomed everyone regardless of race, age, religion, gender, geography, and as DeVos once said, we just don't care. Now, in some parts of the world this has proven to be another breakthrough concept: no glass ceilings. Well, we've told the story about the origins of the Amway sales and marketing plan elsewhere, as we've personally heard it from Rich himself, but let's say a brief word about Rich and Jay themselves. They were already successful businessmen in their 20s and believed the best way to control your own life was to work for yourself. Otherwise, somebody is always pulling the strings. And they believed, of course, that work was important personally, mentally, physically, and a good example to the children, but most people worked for money. And if they didn't have to do that, then to pay their bills and support their family, then maybe they'd just be doing something else with their lives that was more emotionally, physically, mentally, or even spiritually rewarding. Well, 60 years ago, 90% of businesses were no longer around after 5 years, just like today. Statistics haven't changed that much. Maybe they had cash flow problems or whatever the reason may have been. So what Rich and Jay decided to do was to create essentially a new type of business, which was to provide a business opportunity whereby they would create the environment so that anybody could go into business for themselves without risk, regardless of their personal circumstances, and they could start part-time and without it interfering with their current family, business or job commitments. However, in addition to immediate income, that business could result in long-term, stable and sustainable incomes, bringing greater financial security. Eventually, it could become an asset, and I repeat that, an asset, whereby if that sustainable income was large enough and predictable enough for the ABO to live within, he or she could be financially free. Furthermore, as an asset, that business could be sold or passed on to future generations, providing them with financial security as well. Now, there are several legally defined characteristics of pyramid schemes which most people are not really very aware of, but what is in their minds is the structure. The idea that one person is above another and either exploiting or being exploited, or both. And there's someone at the top who always makes more money than those who have come in later, who then get left with a garage full of stock they can't get rid of. But Amway's network marketing structure is different. In network marketing, you get paid according to results. Pyramids are ground level opportunities where those coming in earlier profit more than latecomers. But what's the point of joining a venture and then inviting somebody else to join something that progressively becomes less attractive? It must surely eventually peter out. Well, with Amway, there is no top. On the contrary, rather than becoming less attractive, the Amway opportunity today is 1,000 times more attractive than it was 35 years ago when we started with just 9 products, all cleaning and home care products, no computer or internet. Even then, we thought it was the best opportunity around. But today, wow, I mean, conventional business and network marketing are fundamentally different. And I'm reminded of Warren Buffett's remark that if people really understood the opportunities available today, they wouldn't sleep at night. Well, we feel the same way about Amway. If people really understood Amway, they wouldn't be able to sleep. There's a book called The Big Picture, Why Network Marketing Will Boom by somebody called Edward Ludbrook. And in there he says, he calls pyramid selling the phantom beast. It occurred such a long time ago in the 1960s, early 70s, was never a big form of business, didn't last very long anyway, and considering that this is such a purely historic issue, it's amazing how often the subject is brought up. And we'd agree with that. Now, when something's successful, other people try and copy it. And failing to understand that Amway was a revolutionary business model, disruptive, and not simply an alternative way of selling products by circumventing middlemen and reducing advertising expenses, some years later, businessmen came along, twisted Rich and Jay's concept around to benefit themselves and the company rather than their distributors, and we saw the emergence of pyramid selling. Presumably, people in authority didn't know the difference between Amway and pyramids, between ethical and unethical direct selling businesses, and in 1975, the US Federal Trade Commission investigated many direct selling companies, including Amway, lumping them all together, and spent 4 years forensically taking Amway to pieces. And in the resulting landmark court case, the judge, Federal Trade Commissioner Pytowski, I'll always remember that name, Pytowski, such an unusual name, and he said without reservation or qualification, the Amway sales and marketing plan is not a pyramid. Amway is not a pyramid plan. He said it twice. In fact, in his at times somewhat effusive judgment, Judge Pytowski marveled at Amway's achievements, saying, in less than 20 years, Amway has built a substantial manufacturing company and an efficient distribution system which has brought new products into the market, notably into the highly oligopolistic soap and detergents market. Consumers are benefited by this new source of supply and have responded by remarkable brand loyalty to Amway products. That's the court judgment. Now, one of those testifying in the case was a Professor Cady from the Harvard School of Business Administration, and he stated this: consumers purchase Amway products to a degree which is almost unknown to other brands in the market. The leaders in this market had typically resisted the introduction of each new competitive product, and except for Amway products, there had been virtually no successful entry in the national market of sales for soap and detergent through retail stores in the last 30 years. Amway was spearheading an innovative concept, rattling the powers that be, shaking up the status quo, but in a positive, creative and socially beneficial way that has brought major benefits to the consumer and created a whole new wealth-creating economic business model. Now you can read Commissioner Pytowski's judgment for yourself, as I have done. It's very long, but it is adequately summarized in another book by lawyer Edward Ludbrook called Why Multi-Level Marketing Will Boom. Now, we're not blind to the fact that Commissioner Pytowski recommended Amway make some changes to its practices, but we can see that these practices were implemented in good faith over the years by the company to protect its distributors from the potentially predatorial activities of fellow distributors. So those people who allege Amway is a pyramid are fighting a battle in a war they lost over 30 years ago. I don't know why they bother. Anyway, as Cicero said, they condemn what they do not understand. And when we think of Amway as a disruptor, think of the steam engine in the age of sail. We can understand why there has been such opposition to our activities from local and entrenched interests as we have expanded around the world. Let's face it, breakthrough ideas forging change that question existing ways of doing things, of cultural conventions, of disturbing the status quo and introducing a new vision of how things can be done will inevitably attract opposition from those benefiting financially from the existing situation. This is also known as progress. Well, as for Amway, it was clearly an internet style of business 30 years before the internet, sliding effortlessly online. But people who are not involved don't know that. Have you ever heard of online shopping? Ever heard of affiliate marketing, where someone is rewarded with a commission for people they recommend to a manufacturer? Well, Amway's been doing that for 30 years, long before the World Wide Web went live in 1991 or so, and before the first significant affiliate program, Amazon Associates program it was called, launched in 1996. But our business opportunity is duplicatable. Theirs is only scalable. Big difference. It seems to us that Amway is the ultimate affiliate marketing opportunity for many reasons, starting with the simple fact we don't have to source products ourselves. But that's a blog for another time. Another excellent book called The Quickstar Revolution by Coy Barefoot states that September the 1st, 1999, when the company, that's Amway, went online for the first time, that date will go down as one of the most important days in the history of the internet. Wow. Not everybody knows that. Well, in the early days, delivery was the Achilles heel of fledgling online shopping companies, but Amway's distribution and delivery facilities had been running efficiently for 3 decades. So that's one reason why it glided so effortlessly online in 1999, making a profit online from day one. And it's established today as the largest direct selling company in the world, a major portal in the online shopping industry. Well, if we take a brief look at what has been happening around the world and what my wife and I have seen and experienced personally in the countries where Amway has had legal challenges and even been temporarily closed down, in all cases it's either because the authorities have taken action to eliminate pyramids and illegal MLMs and dumped Amway in with all the rest, as in China, or local businessmen have ganged up on Amway and lobbied local and national politicians and colluded with the media to prevent Amway's introduction into their closed and monopolistic markets, as in Korea and India. But each time Amway has emerged with flying colours to be thereafter recognised as a highly respected and important part of that country's economic furniture, continually winning awards for its corporate responsibility and environmental stewardship. In fact, we wouldn't be surprised if Amway wasn't one of the most decorated companies in the world. Anyway, to illustrate all this, we will just talk briefly about 3 markets of which we have personal experience: Korea, China and India, although the situation can be applied to pretty much all Amway's markets. Let's start with South Korea. Some 30 years ago, and we were in Japan at the time, the Korean media, prompted by domestic businesses, televised unfounded product demonstrations and wheeled out experts to show that Amway cleaning products were environmentally damaging and would, for example, kill fish in the rivers quicker than domestically made products, even though the 5 detergent products that Amway Korea started with there had been approved by the United States Environmental Protection Agency. Well, because of the bad publicity, the Amway business in Korea went from tens of thousands of distributors to 0 overnight. And this was eventually solved at the very highest diplomatic and governmental levels, with the American government explaining that Amway was one of America's most iconic and important companies. The Korean government, unaware of the situation, looked into it, quickly reauthorized the Amway business, and today, well, we're not sure of the exact figures, it's one of Amway's most important markets, maybe its 4th largest, with the turnover approaching $1 billion and 600,000 or 700,000 distributors. It's grown over 260 times in the last 25 years. It's also a world leader in skincare technology, some of which Amway's Artistry skincare brand has actually adopted worldwide. Nutrilite became the official supplement of the Korean national football team for the 2010 World Cup, and Amway itself is widely praised at government level now for helping local SMEs, small medium enterprises, survive very difficult times by allowing them to distribute suitable products through its already established Korean Amway networks. An indication of how far Amway products have actually permeated Korean society is illustrated in the picture we have, and you can see it in our blog. Our blog is www.compassionate-capitalism.blog. A picture we've got there of former President of Korea Moon Jae-in enjoying his Amway wok. Apparently he loved cooking. Amway Korea's Children Dreaming High program takes Korean children to the States to participate in camps and expand their minds. And this is all part of Amway's global activities to fight childhood malnutrition through education and providing specially formulated food supplements to millions of children around the world. It's called Little Bits. Well, let's turn to China, where there was no real legislation catering for direct selling. Its fast growth, much of it driven by unethical companies, attracted the attention of the authorities, and in 1998 the government closed down all direct selling companies overnight, outlawing legitimate as well as unethical sellers, even though Amway itself had invested in large-scale manufacturing facilities there. The Chinese government had that sort of extreme power just to snap its fingers and close everything down overnight. Well, the CEO of China at that time was a lady called Eva Cheng, named by Forbes 100 as one of the 100 most powerful women in the world. I might just say that women of that caliber and reputation, by the way, do not run pyramids. Well, she phoned Rich DeVos at 2 a.m. in the morning to say, well, look, we've been closed down without notice. And she said afterwards that the Amway co-founder was completely unfazed. All he said was simply, what can Amway do for you, Eva? Don't worry. We'll carry on. We'll be there for you. Classic Rich. Well, the idea that free enterprise and Amway's form of promoting the idea that anybody could have a business of their own and enjoy its benefits could be outlawed was incomprehensible to Rich and Jay. They were committed to staying the course and to gaining the trust of the Chinese government, however long it took. Well, led by then President DeVos, Amway thereafter worked closely with the Chinese government to change laws, eliminate illegal and questionable direct selling companies, and over the following 10 years no less, revised its sales model no fewer than 5 times to meet changing regulations. Well, the rules in China are still unique, and the way Amway operates its business there and compensates the business owners is very different from what they do in other parts of the world. But the revised business model is working. It has established Amway as a respected part of the Chinese economy, acceptable to the Chinese government and blending with the Chinese culture. The Chinese experience is an excellent example of Amway's thought processes. When they enter a country, they've done their due diligence about that country and laid the groundwork for many years in advance. Not just looked at its economic potential, but its history, culture, social norms, the political situation, and the people themselves. Once Amway invests in a country, it's there to stay. So what is the situation today in China? Well, today China is Amway's biggest market at $4 billion. Nutrilite, our food supplement range, was for the 6th, I think, successive Olympics in 2020, the official food supplement of the whole Chinese Olympic team. Now, Amway says we can never say China's won any medals because of Nutrilite, but we can say every Chinese Olympic athlete has taken Nutrilite. Wow. That alone is enough amazing testimony to the prestigious status Amway now has in China. China's Nutrilite ambassador at one time was Wu Daijun, who won the gold medal for the 500-meter speed skating at the fairly recent Seoul Winter Olympics. And this level of athlete does not jeopardize his or her performance just to promote a food supplement. And a country's Olympic committees have stringent rules about an athlete's diet. The authoritative China News Weekly has now recognized Amway China as one of the top 50 most socially responsible enterprises in China, supporting over 2,000 charity projects related to children, health and environmental protection. Amway China has received over 1,200 awards. The Chinese edition of Fortune recognized the company as one of China's most admired companies, most influential multinational corporations and most influential brand. That's quite something. Its environmental initiatives have led the Chinese government itself to award it the title of Model Enterprise for Protecting Earth's Resources. And the Chinese Chamber of Commerce gave it the Advanced Enterprise for Excellent After-Sales Service and Product Quality. Not my translation. There are countless more accolades we could mention. And a very interesting aspect is that Amway has sponsored high-ranking government officials to attend the John F. Kennedy School of Government in Harvard to study management. Those officials also visited Amway's HQ in Ada. And so far, some 500 such Chinese bureaucrats have taken advantage of the opportunity. We hope it is becoming more apparent now how really smart Amway is as a company and the sort of levels it operates at. There's more to Amway than meets the eye. It's more than just a business. A classic Amway story is their $13 million botanical research center in Wuxi province, China, researching traditional Chinese medicines to incorporate into Nutrilite products. The climate in this region was ideal for their purposes, but the farmland not so good. So they shipped in 20,000 truckloads of uncontaminated soil and recreated the whole farm from scratch down to a level of 17 meters deep. It's awesome. We wonder how many companies there are as conscientious as this about how they research, develop and cultivate their products. There can be few other nutritional companies that have the financial resources to go to these lengths to protect the integrity of their farming practices and purity of their nutritional products. Nutrilite is the world's #1 for a reason. Let's turn to India. India is another excellent case in point, with Amway again coming through legal challenges with flying colours. We won't go through all the details, but it was a very difficult situation for some time, with Amway's CEO even being arrested. An indication of the shallow nature of some of the charges Amway often faces was one court case where someone complained to the authorities and it transpired he was angry with his wife and wanted to get revenge by making complaints against her colleagues at Amway where she worked. Well, another case thrown out. But let's look at the situation in India today. It is Amway's 8th largest market, with several 100,000 distributors, but it is forecast to become Amway's #1 market, replacing China. China shot itself in the foot by having a one-child policy, so it has an aging population. In contrast, 50% of India's population is below 25 years of age and 60% below 35. They're very well educated, very IT literate, ambitious and entrepreneurial. Indeed, Amway was so impressed with the way the Indian people had almost instinctively embraced the Amway concept and online potential that it hosted the first ever hackathon, which they called the Amway App Playground. And this was for students of top Vasavi College of Engineering in Hyderabad, where 30 students were given an overview of the direct selling industry and then divided into 6 teams who competed over the course of 3 days to deliver innovative app prototypes. This is how Amway prepares for the future. Well, since the court cases and the entrenched forces resisting change were overcome, Amway India has again received, frankly, too many awards to mention, some presented by government ministers themselves. But here is just a glimpse of their recognitions in 2018 and 2019 alone. Asia's Best Employer Award, Dream Employer of the Year, Best Leadership Development Program, Best Training Company of the Year, Best Employer for Women, very important one that, Best Healthcare Brand, Best Nutraceuticals Company, Most Trusted Brand in Direct Selling, Inspirational Leader Award to Amway CEO from WRCI. WRCI is the world's leading brand equity research and consulting firm. Quite an honour. There are lots more. Best Corporate in Water Conservation and Management, Human Resources Excellence Award from the Institute of Directors, Best International Company in Skill Development, Great Managers Award from the Economic Times. Amway A Pyramid? Give me a break. You can see all this and much more actually in the following link about Amway India, https://www.amway.in/about. We could go on and on, but India is just another example of Amway working with the government to frame laws that legitimise businesses such as ours and squeeze out disreputable operations, opening up the market for everyone else, often potential competitors, at the same time. Today in China, India and Korea, indeed in 100 countries around the world, Amway is now part of the economic furniture. In informed circles, the purity of the Amway business model and extent of its corporate responsibility is self-evident. So when people say to me, oh, Amway's a pyramid, isn't it, I think, yeah. And the moon is made of green cheese and the world is flat and white cows produce white milk and brown cows produce chocolate milk. Give me a break. I don't say that actually because I'm a nice guy, but that's what I feel about it. But here is the challenge and opportunity that we face. I was recently, 2020 actually, referred from the UK to a call centre in southern India about a computer issue I had. And I said to the lady at the other end, I said, by the way, I've got a business in India, because I'm always prospecting. And when the lady asked what it was, I said, I'm sure you've heard of Amway. Oh yes, she said, I've used the products, they're jolly good. But they've been banned, haven't they? So at one end of the perception spectrum, we are one of the most respected and decorated companies in the whole country. And at the other end, the impression is that we've been banned. You see, hearsay is our foe. But that's not a negative, it's a huge positive for us because they know, but they don't understand. Even today, after 60 years, hardly anybody gets it. Everybody washes their hair, cleans their teeth, drinks water. Such a simple idea. Change your brand, find a few customers and duplicate. What an opportunity, so exciting. Amway is, in my and my wife's humble opinion, one of the most important forces for good that there is in the world today. And the next time we'll be talking more about our experiences of Amway and Rich DeVos and VanAndel's concept of compassionate capitalism, including how Amway treated us after the 1995 earthquake in Kobe, Japan, and more recently its activities in the worst hit areas of the Fukushima tsunami. Till then, remember, family, freedom, hope, reward, helping people improve their lives and taking control of their future is the essence of what we do. Keep the faith, stay young, stay foolish. We'll leave you with Rich's legendary words, you can do it, love you, and we look forward to seeing you guys on the beaches of the world. Bye.